Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to today's APM revision revolution. As I informed you yesterday, we are going to do section B questions. So without wasting any time, let's begin with section B questions. The paper pattern has already been discussed. I will just share the screen with you. Okay, so this is the question 1 for practice that we're having. Oh, let's do it. Yeah. So question 1, exhibit 1, 2, and the requirement. Whenever you start with any question, you have to start from requirement. When you read the requirement first, you exactly know what to look for in the question. Okay. And as I told you, professional papers are more of theory. You take any subject, you take AFM, you take APM, you take SBR, more of theory. So just remove from your mind that just AAA is theory. This is also theory. You have to explain. In professional papers, they know that you know the things. You just have to explain yourself well. That okay, this is what I have studied so far and this is what I know. So let's begin with that. So required, it is now 1 September 20x5. Respond to the CEO of Harry's request for work on the following area. The use of performance pyramid. Yesterday we studied a performance pyramid. Note, there are 13 marks available for the first part of the work required on this area. Refer to A in your answer, that is the first part, and 7 marks is available for the second part. So, the use of performance pyramid, and the second part is, and the professional marks is 5. Okay, so first part is this, exhibit 1, and second part is this. Okay. So the first part is the 4 operational headings that you have to do in the performance pyramid. Now just give me 1 minute to open the answer sheet and then we begin, okay? Okay. So before that, let's read the question now. So you have to respond to CEO of Harry's request for the work on the following area, that is the use of the performance pyramid. Let's see. Harry Keyboards. Harry is a family-owned business which manufactures computer keyboards. It has contracts to supply 3 large desktop computer manufacturers. Harry won its contracts to supply these manufacturers under severe price competition, as the manufacturer themselves have seen the price of the whole package fall in the past 10 years. The contracts are for 5 years and have at least 3 years left to run. The 2 years are over. At the end of the contracts, the desktop manufacturers will render for suppliers, and Harry expects to be in a strong position as the existing supplier to win more work. The CEO, Chief Executive Officer, and leader of the Harry family is Graham Harry. He and the board believes that the success of the business has been built on an emphasis on strategic focus. He recently declared in the board meeting, cost leadership wins business in our niche market, and we should not overstretch ourselves into non-core activities. We make cheap keyboards. You have to concentrate on the core activities only and don't go into and fall into the non-core activities. Then the exhibit 2, the CEO has indicated that he wants to use the performance pyramid to analyze the performance indicators used at Harry. He has asked you as the company's performance management expert, since you're doing APM, you're already considered to be a performance management expert, to undertake 2 pieces of work on this area. So which are the 2 pieces? The first work is this and the second work is this. And the first work has how many marks? 13 marks. That is the A part, and the second work has 7 marks. So see the first work. First, the CEO would like you to complete the analysis provided in Appendix 1. Appendix 1 contains the work done so far by junior accountant on the pyramid headings and their associated indicators of Harry, with additional notes and information about Harry's performance. He would then like you to evaluate only the operational performance indicators at Harry. Second, there are a number of non-financial indicators used in the performance pyramid, and the CEO would like an advice on the reliability of these indicators compared to the financial ones, which are usually presented in the board's reports. He would like this part of work to focus on methods of measuring such indicators, including the information sources and the methods of processing and checking which is normally undertaken. He has told you to use the operational indicators from the first part of the work to illustrate your advice. Okay, so we will start with it now. Okay, so I will show you guys the appendix 1. Just a minute. Okay, this is the appendix 1 that we have. So the appendix 1 says Harry's performance indicator information for the year ended 30th June 20x5. There's a pyramid heading, indicator and value. Vision, financial, market, customer satisfaction, flexibility, productivity, waste, quality, delivery time and cycle time. So the entire pyramid is there. At the heading, that is the first part, there's vision. Second part is financial and market. Third one is customer satisfaction, flexibility and productivity. And at the base it's waste, quality, delivery and cycle time. This is a normal thing. Then these are the indicators of that and these are the values and notes which says that vision does not have an indicator. There is separate project being carried out within the finance department to deal with this. The absolute profit figure is used. Market share is measured by an external marketing expert. Customer complaints are measured by customer returns. Many orders require customization of the production process. Customers see timely delivery as critical. There are a number of other margins available for use in measuring productivity in specific areas of operations, but operating margin is used as a summary indicator of productivity. There are 16 manufacturing production lines in the factory. These lines are active for 9 hours a day for 6 days a week, 52 weeks a year. A keyboard is produced from the production line every 2.2 minutes, including setup time, while the machines are operating. Last year, the factory produced 1.05 million keyboards. The number of keyboards rejected by quality inspectors in the factory was 15,750 in the year. Of these, 9,450 were able to be reworked at an average cost of $2, and the rest was scrapped. The standard cost of the keyboard is $8. Harry uses an external logistics firm, HL, to handle all deliveries. Harry calls HL to collect an order, and HL's lorry fleet picks up orders from Harry's factory and delivers to the customer. There are service level agreements governing how long HL has to deliver the goods to Harry's customers. HL supplies Harry with data from its own system on the number of packages delivered and how many were late. Below is the report for the last year. Deliveries made in total in the period is 5127. Deliveries made within agreed time after Harry's order received is 4717. Total time taken to deliver Harry's goods, that is the total overall orders of the number of days each order spends in transit, is 17,423. And working capital cycle is calculated as inventory days 22 plus trade receivable days less payable. That is the working capital cycle. Okay, that is how it is calculated. So these are the information on the exhibit that is given. Now we have to start the answer. So let's start with the CEO's request of work on the following area, that is complete analysis of Appendix 1. Contains the work done by junior accountant so far, that is what we just read. And he's made a pyramid. He would then like you to evaluate on the operational performance indicators at Harry. Operational performance indicators. So like, how will you judge the operations regarding to what we just read? So depending on that, the first thing that we'll be doing is first question. And this is the A part, which is for 13 marks. Okay. So what are the operational performance indicators that we have? Waste, quality, delivery and cycle time, right? These are the performance indicators. So we'll start with them because there are 4 operational headings in the pyramid that you have to consider. So write down. There are 4 operational headings. In the pyramid, which shall be considered in turn. And what is that? Because you have to judge it on the basis of operational headings. So the first one we have is waste. So what we can write about waste? The more the waste, that means it is like, you're wasting a lot of things and utilizing very less. And the lesser the waste, that means you're utilizing optimal resources. So if my wastage is minimum, that means I'm utilizing it to the core, and then ekdam little part is being wasted. So waste is about optimal use of resources. And minimalization minimization of non-value adding activity. Okay, there are about, if you read the question carefully, you can find this question in your exam questions. Okay, so there are about 1.05 million keyboards produced, but this is how much percent of utilization? This is only of your total capacity. This is only, if you calculate of total utilization, it is only 86% utilization of the capacity of the factory. And what is the utilization of the factory? It's 2695680 minutes of production time rather production line time are available at 2.2 minutes per keyboard, meaning the factory can produce at full capacity. So we are producing 1.05 million divided by 0.22 million. That means we have 1.05 we are producing. We can actually produce 1.22 million approx. So we are utilizing only 86. And how did we get the full capacity? We can make this many units of production at 2.2 minutes per keyboard. Okay, so 2695680 divided by 2.2 per 2.2 minutes. That means the full capacity is 122.53090. So this is our full capacity, and out of the full capacity we are utilizing only 86% of our capacity. Therefore, capital invested in the factory is unutilized, because still we can do 14% more at the available capacity. So therefore capital invested in the factory is underutilized. Although an 80 plus utilization, that is 80% plus, that is we have 86. Utilization, so they are putting Z everywhere wherein there is S. 80+% utilization would be considered efficient for many factory operations. Okay, this is regarding waste. So out of the total 100% utilization, we are utilizing only 86, wherein 14% we still can produce in the available resources, but we are not doing it. Although 80 plus utilization means very good, but still there is a scope of doing more, 14%. So that can be there. The next we can consider about is quality. So again, look at the appendix that is given to us. So I will share the appendix. This is the appendix available. So for quality, what can you say? The number of keyboards rejected by quality inspectors in the factory was 15,750 in the year. Of these, 9,450 were able to be reworked at an average cost of 2 and rest was scrapped. The standard cost of the keyboard is 8. So you can find the failure percentage of this, right? 15,750 keyboards were rejected by the quality inspector in the year. So we can find out how much is the fault of the goods, then how much was the loss because of this faults. Then there are customer complaints of 0.4% of keyboards. Then there are a number of other margins available for use in measuring productivity in specific areas of operations, but operating margin is used as a summary indicator of productivity, and customer complaints are measured by customer returns. Very important point. And the absolute profit figure is used. So quality can be measured using through 4 cost types: inspection and prevention cost, which represent the cost of preventing faults in the production process, and inspecting to avoid faulty goods leaving the factory, and internal and external failure cost, which are the costs resulting from faulty goods being identified before and after delivery to the customers. But there is no data given in 20x5 on the cost of inspection, ki kitna is the inspection cost, and prevention. However, the effectiveness of inspection can be measured in that only how many % orders were returned. If you see, the returned orders were 0.4%. Only that many were returned, because that were the customer complaints. So 0.4% of orders were returned, while inspection stopped the delivery of 1.5% of faulty goods. So the faulty goods were 1.5% of the total, where the quality inspectors rejected, and of that 9450 were reworked. So out of that 60% were repaired, because this many were faulty, 15750 were faulty. Out of that 9450 were reworked, that is repaired. So that means 60% were repaired. And the effectiveness of prevention can be measured, and there is roughly the failure rate. If you calculate, then the failure rate is 1.9%, because 60% is repaired. So the failure rate here becomes the 0.4% keyboards, and the failure rate becomes 1.9%, which must reflect the good production practice at the factory. But there is data on measurement of cost of internal failure of reworking goods. So these goods were reworked at an average cost of 2. So 9450 products were reworked, and average cost of those were 2. So that gives you 18,900. But there is no data available for external failures. And external failures is how much? 0.4%. So cost of that is not given, and the standard cost of keyboard is 8. So we can write about the keyboard failures regarding in the quality, because obviously that is a part of quality. So let's write about that. The second one we have is quality. Quality can be measured by 4 cost types, which is that inspection and prevention cost, and what does that represent? Which represent the cost of preventing faults in the production process and inspecting to avoid faulty goods leaving the factory. So we are inspecting so that the goods which are gone outside the factory are best quality and they are not faulty. And internal and external failure costs. That is which are costs resulting from faulty goods being identified before and after delivery to the customers. Okay. But there is no data given on the inspection and prevention costs. So, but ideally we had to consider that, but there is no data given. So there are no data. You have to mention that because the data is not given in the question. Given for 20x5 on cost of inspection and prevention. However, the effectiveness of inspection can be measured in that it's clearly given only 0.4 keyboards were written. So only 0.4% of orders were returned. While inspection stopped the delivery of 1.5% of faulty goods. Means, can you imagine, only 0.4 were returned by customers and our inspection stopped 1.5% goods. That means all the other products are of a good quality and the quality, it has passed the quality check. Okay. There is a loss of $50,400 at standard cost from the scrapping of faulty keyboards. Right, this is just what we just calculated. Although 60% of faulty keyboards were repaired. That is, they have used the word refurbished. So it was repaired. So the effectiveness of prevention can be measured in that there is roughly 1.9% failure rate in total. Which must reflect the good production practice. That means only slight goods are returned, and even from the goods those were returned, 60% are refurbished and sold back. So this reflects the good practice at the factory, good production practice at the factory. There are data on measures of the cost of internal failure from reworking goods. Reworking, that is repairing goods, and the cost was 2 per defective product. So when you calculate that, the cost was $18,900. That is 2 per goods, right? So 18,900. But there are no data on the cost of external failures of 0.4%. But how much did that cost? That data we do not have. Which may incur further repair or warranty claim costs. Then this is the second one, quality. First one was waste, operational headings, quality. Then the third one was delivery. So for delivery, what can you say again? If you check the delivery and a cycle time, working capital cycle is 37 days. Vision does not have an indicator. There's a separate project being carried out within the finance department to deal with this. The absolute profit figures used. Market share is measured at an external marketing expert. Customer complaints are measured by the customer returns. Many orders require customization of the product process. Customers see timely delivery as critical. See. Harry uses external logistics from Achel to handle all deliveries. Harry calls Achel to collect an order, and Achel's lorry fleet picks up orders from Harry's factory and delivers to the customer. There are service level agreements governing how long Achel has to deliver the goods to Harry's customer. Achel supplies Harry with data from its own system on the number of packages delivered and how many were late. Deliveries made in total is 5127. Delivery is made in agreed time frame is 4717. So 4717 divided by 2. That means 92% deliveries were made on time, and total time taken to deliver Harry's goods, that is the total overall orders of the number of days each order spends in transit, is 17,423. So 17,423 days it takes in total over all the orders. 5,1. That means it takes, if you do 17,423 divided by 5127, that is the total days it takes for the total order, you get 3.39, that is 3.4 days for per order to be delivered. So now based on that, you have to write about delivery. So let's write about delivery now. So are you all understanding how we are writing? Right? We have to measure the effectiveness of whatever data is given to us. So now, first of all, delivery has been outsourced to Achel. And Harry is reliant on Achel to provide the data on the quality of Achel's own service. This represents a risk which Harry can control by monitoring its own customer feedback to identify if Achel is underreporting the late deliveries. Like, what if he's lying that no, I'm only delivering a few late and all of that, but that's the only data that's available with us. So we'll write, based on Achel's data, we already calculated 92% of orders are delivered on time. And average time it takes to deliver one order is how much? 3.39, that is 3.4 days. That is delivery. And the next indicator of the operational heading that we should consider. So waste is done, quality is done, delivery is done. Next is cycle time. Okay. Again, for cycle time, there's a last paragraph that is given. So let's look at that. The cycle time. Look at the last paragraph, 10th one. Working capital cycle is calculated as inventory days plus receivable days less payable days. So for cycle time, what happens is you have to make sure that the cycle time is proper and appropriate. To deliver per product, to deliver all the products, we are taking 17,423 days and the total goods are 5,127. So we just calculated that we take 3.4 days on an average to deliver one product on time, and this working capital cycle is calculated as 22 plus 42, that is receivables less payables of 27. That is, a cycle is 37 days. Working capital cycle is 37 days. And the production time is 2.22 minutes per production line. And cycle time should be proper in order to make sure that it is delivered on time. If you see here, there are 16 manufacturing production lines in the factory. These lines are active for 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, that is 52 weeks a year. And keyboard production line is 2.2 minutes, including setup time, and the machines are operating. Last year, the factory produced 1.05 million keyboards. Measurement of production cycle time is likely to be particularly important, and assessing the efficiency of such cost-conscious business, they should appear in the pyramid of indicators if they are deemed sufficiently important or not. So that is data regarding the cycle time that is available. So let's write the data on cycle time that we've just calculated, which is and the cycle time is 37 days, which we have already calculated. And this keyboard produces 2.22 minutes per production line. And that is the only data about working capital available to us. So let's write our answer based on that data only. So what can you write about the cycle time? Cycle time, the more the better or the less the better? For working capital, cycle time is being measured, but this should be done For all significant processes in Harry, the processes which have been identified so far are setting up production lines, which takes 2.2 minutes. Then running the production line on an order and delivering the order. Measurement of production cycle time, which we have already calculated, is likely to be particularly important in assessing the efficiency of such a cost-conscious business. There are data of delivery time. We are taking 3.4 days to deliver one order. 3.4 days on average, because we got 3.09, right? So we 3.39, so we did it 4. So on an average per order, and on production time, it's already given in the question, 2.2 per production line. These should appear in the pyramid of indicators if they are deemed sufficiently important. So we had to do 4 operational headings ka data. They had told us the use of performance pyramid to analyze the performance indicators, and we analyzed the performance using cycle time, how good our performance is upon delivery, upon cycle time, upon waste, and upon quality. Okay, now what does the B part says? Second, there are a number of non-financial indicators used in the performance pyramid, and the CEO would like some advice on the reliability of these indicators compared to the financial ones. So financial ones are ones that we've already discussed, that is the mathematical calculations. What about the non-financial indicators that are there? He would like this part of the work to focus on methods measuring such indicators, including the information sources and the methods of processing and checking which is normally undertaken. He has told you to use operational indicators from the first part of the work to illustrate your advice. So let's answer the second one now. That is the non-financial indicators. So that is the B part. in order to understand the issues surrounding measurement of non-financial indicators, it is necessary first to consider, because now we are looking at non-financial, the more commonly used financial ones. Financial indicators will be produced by Harris Financial Systems, these systems will generate much of the cost information used for example, measuring the cost of quality, they are internally controlled and additionally monitored by the external auditors of the organization. Such systems are by definition working with easily quantified data. For these resources, they are likely to be the most reliable data available. Okay, so however, apart from the financial, for the measurement of headings, such as cycle time, the data are often going to be non-financial. Because cycle time is not a financial data. Financial is numerical. This is numerical in days. Cycle time requires measuring how long processes take for example, the length of time it takes for production line to produce a keyboard. These data are within the control of Harry, because Harry needs to do the delivery on time, receivables, payables, cycle time. So it is all under the control of Harry, and the data will be obtained by production records and interviewing the key personnel. However, they will not be subject to the checking and controls over financial data and therefore may be more prone to error. What is the other non-financial data can you undertake? First is the cycle time. Cycle time is not a financial, it's very much under the control of Harry, and cycle time is the number of days. Other non-financial data may come from external sources. What is that? For example, at Harry, they are using the delivery data of actual. The data must be, that is the delivery time. If you remember, in number of days, 3 point whatever we did here, no? 3.4 days. So that is the delivery data. So the data must be treated carefully. As there is an incentive for HL to underreport deliveries as there may be penalties for such non-performance in their contract with Harry. Because there is also a threat of losing the contract. Harry would want to ensure that HL's data is reliable by checking it against own customer complaint records. Also, the definition of non-financial data is more subjective. For example, which constitutes late delivery though this should be consistent with the service level agreed in the contract. So this is the B part, which is the non-financial indicators. So that completes your question for 20 marks, and 5 marks is for professional. So professional marks will be awarded for the demonstration of skills in analysis and evaluation, skepticism and commercial acumen in your answer. If you see your this thing, first of all, don't look at the handwriting because it doesn't really matter, but on the commercial acumen, headings, subheadings, clear and concise language. So waste, then you're talking about the waste. You're utilizing only 86% of the capacity. That means you're wasting 14% of your capacity. You have the capacity to do more, but you're doing only 86%. So that is regarding waste. Then regarding quality, if you say, quality can be measured with the number of goods returned. So how many percent of goods are being returned? Out of the return, how many percent are you repairing back and sending it? So what is the ultimate bad quality that you're selling? So out of the returns, if 60% you're refurbishing back, that means out of the return, only 40% are actual bad quality goods. But which is actually good, because only 0.4 keyboards were returned while inspection was done externally. Then delivery. Delivery is the number of time that you take to deliver the product. If you calculate, you take 3.4 days to deliver one goods, and 92% of the orders are delivered on time. So if 92 are delivered on time, it's somewhere or the other good. But this is based on actuals data. So we have to trust actuals data on that, because actual is our outsourced delivery partner. We are not doing the deliveries on our own, but we have outsourced it to a company called Actual. So we have to trust the actuals data because we don't have any other option. We don't have any other data available. Cycle time. Cycle time is what? Our production time plus receivable less payable days. So what is the cycle time? Based on that cycle time, what is the total time we take to deliver? That is 3.4. What is the total time that we take to produce? 2.2. Based on that, that is the cycle time, which is an important aspect of the pyramid. How quickly your cycle completes. And the second one is the non-financial performance indicators. Again, in that the cycle time comes, because that's not a financial one. The days you're taking to deliver the product comes, because again that's not a financial one. So here are the non-financial performance indicators, and that completes your first question. Now before we begin with the second question, we take a break of 5 minutes and then begin with question 2. That is Cortina's retail clothing, which is a March-June 19 question. Okay. So we'll continue. Question 2. Cortina's Retail Clothing, CRC, and this is a March-June 2019 question. So it's a past exam questions, and all the questions that I'm taking are past exam questions only. You can find it in any of the examination kit that you follow, because all the examination kits are same. They have like a amalgamation of all the past exam questions. So you can find it in any of the brand's exam kit. Also, ACCA has launched with the Study Hub. There also you can find these questions. So company information. First of all, we'll read the requirements so that we understand what is exactly required in the question. Required, evaluate whether CRC should move from its current budgeting system to the ARB, and complete the analyst work in Appendix 1 as required by the board and explain the variance between the budgeting cost and the actual cost for each receipt into goods inwards for July 20x5. And this is the Appendix 1, which I'm really sorry, in the previous question it was not here because I think it just got missed out, but then we managed. But it was pretty good and very nice question, but we missed out on the appendix. So CRC started a clothing retailer 20 years ago with one store. The business expanded steadily and had 10 stores after 18 years of trading. One store to 10 stores. Since then, the rate of expansion has increased rapidly, with an average 4 stores opening per year. CRC is planning to open its first large out-of-town store soon and is also considering the acquisition of a food retailing business. Both of these will be supplied with items using CRC's existing central warehouse. Introduction to RFID system. At the beginning of the 20x5 accounting year, to cope up with this rapid growth, CBC acquired a RFID, that is radio frequency identification device system, at its single central warehouse. This was to help manage inventory more effectively and speed up the process of receiving items from the suppliers and dispatching them to stores. Items are still moved manually by the staff in the CRC warehouse, where there is a little automation compared to competitors. Compared to competitors, your automation is very little. There also has been some resistance from the staff to the IFRD system, or rather it's RFID. RFID, that is radio frequency identification device, which they find difficult to use. CRC is currently trying to reduce the number of suppliers. It has to help increase efficiency in the warehouse. The budgeting system, the budgeting setting process has remained unchanged since CRC was formed. All managers prepare draft budgets using spreadsheets and submit them to the CRC board for approval. Managers use the previous year results as a starting point when drafting the budgets and increase the variable cost in line with any anticipated growth in volumes. For example, when preparing the budget for the year ending 30th June 20x6, the manager of the central warehouse used the actual cost of running the warehouse from the previous year and increased all by the same percentage. This was to reflect an anticipated increase in volumes in 20x6 over 20x5. Managers are appraised on their performance against approved budgets. CRC has needed all its financial resources to fund its expansion, and so it has only old and basic IT systems which are not enterprise resources planning systems, unified databases or network systems. It has been suggested to CRC board that the current system of budgeting is no longer suitable and the business should move to activity-based budgeting, that is ABB. The CEO has asked you to evaluate the potential introduction of ABB at CRC. Central warehouse activity in July 20x5. The board has never seen an activity-based budget before and unsure how it could be used to explain variances between actual and budgeted performance in the central warehouse. It's based on activity-based costing. ABB budget is based on ABC costing we saw yesterday in theory. As an example, they would like to see how an activity-based budget for the year ending 30th June 2026 could be used to explain variances from the actual results for the month of July 20x5. The two key activities which drive cost in the central warehouse are receipts of items into the good inward section and dispatches of items from goods outward section. A receipt into the goods inward involves accepting a delivery of items from a supplier, tagging those items and putting them away in the warehouse. Receipts from supplier contain a variable number of individual items. Destination of items from goods outward are to the CRC's own retail stores. Cost drivers for these two activities will be used to send monthly cost budgets for the warehouse. The board asked an analyst to prepare an activity-based budget for the central warehouse for the year ending 30th June 2026. The analyst has collected relevant information on the cost for the year needed to prepare the activity-based budget and has begun the work in Appendix 1. The total annual cost relating to goods inward needed to be determined. This should be used to calculate the budgeted cost of each receipt into goods inward. In order to explain the variance between the budgeted cost and the actual cost of receipt of goods inward for the month of July 20x5, the analyst has already correctly included the cost of the warehouse manager's salary and the lease of the RFID system, that is radio frequency identification system, into the incomplete activity-based budget in Appendix 1. The board has asked you to complete the analyst's work. To enable you to complete your calculations, you are told that in July 20x5, there were 650 receipts into goods inward. These receipts contain 1 lakh items, which is the same as the budgeted number of items for the month. The actual total cost of activities driven by receipts into goods inward for the month were $18,000. It is now 1 September 20x5. Again, you are required to evaluate whether CRC should move from its current budgeting to the activity-based budget and complete the analyst work in Appendix 1 as required by the board and explain the variance between the budgeted cost and the actual cost for each receipt. So a little bit of calculation is also there. This is the Appendix 1, which total good inward, goods outward and others, warehouse manager's salary, lease of RFID system, RFID tagging, warehouse staff salary and heating and lighting. And these are the things that are given. Now let's see how this is to be So beginning with the question, first let's read Appendix 1. This is the Appendix 1. This is the analyst incomplete activity-based budget for the central warehouse. Analyst notes the cost of warehouse manager's salary relates to all sections of the warehouse and cannot be apportioned directly to good inwards or good outwards. The cost for the RFID system is involved by lease company. 60% of this cost is allocated to goods inwards and the remainder relates to goods outwards. The cost of RFID tagging is the wages cost for specially trained staff known as taggers. Their only job is to attach RFID tags to items when they are received before the items are put away in the warehouse. All the items received are RFID tagged and the cost of tagging are allocated entirely to the cost of goods inward. Each tagger can attach 35,000 tags per month and is paid an actual salary of 24. The cost of each individual RFID tag is negligible. Yeah, it's negligible because it's 0.6. There were 12 full-time warehouse staff throughout the year to 30th June 2025 who were each paid an annual salary of $22,500. 2 more staff will be recruited at the beginning of the new budgeted year. 50% of the warehouse staff work in goods inward and 50% in goods outward. The cost of heating and lighting relates to all sections of the warehouse and cannot be apportioned directly to goods inward or goods outward. The actual heating and lighting cost for the year was $10,000 and the warehouse manager has proposed a budget of $10,500 for the coming year. The general cost of inflation, though, is expected to be 0. The annual number of receipts into the good inwards is 9,000, containing a total of 12 lakh items. They are expected to occur evenly over the year. So now first you evaluate whether the company should move from its current budgeting system to the activity-based budget for 13 marks. So make sure you use the data that is given. This is the current system that they are using and they are planning to use the ABB, that is the activity-based budgeting. So let's begin with what they feel that should be done, and then you have to also calculate the activity-based budget. So whenever they are telling you that should a company change from its current budget to some other budget, you have to state the advantages of the current budget, then you have to give the disadvantages of the current budget, then you have to give the advantages of activity-based budget and disadvantages of activity-based budget. And then looking at the advantages and disadvantages of both, you need to state whether, okay, now the company should switch or the company should not switch. So first we have to give the advantages of the current budgeting system, then give the disadvantages of the current budgeting system, then give the advantages of ABB, that is activity-based budget, and then give the disadvantages of activity-based budget. So let's begin. Cortina's retail clothing. First one, A. You first give advantages of the current budgeting system. So yesterday morning I showed you guys how to study using the study hub of the ACCA website, but when I was taking the Hindi lecture in the afternoon the same day, the system was off. So I couldn't just log in the ACCA platform and I couldn't show the students in Hindi. So I told them that go to the English lecture and see. So it was good that in the morning it was working. At least you guys had an idea of how to do the MCQs, although they are not there in the paper, but just to theoretically clear your doubts and how to solve sums, how to highlight, how to add notes, how to bookmark. I couldn't show them anything. So I told them go and watch that lecture. So that was a problem that appeared in the afternoon and the system was down. Okay, so good that it happened in the morning and you guys could do it. CRC managers use the previous year's results as a starting point when drafting their budgets. And increase the variable cost according to any anticipated growth in volumes. This is an example of incremental budgeting. What is incremental budgeting? Yesterday we saw taking last year's as the base and then adding it to it. Okay, and what is zero-based budgeting? Taking zero as the base and adding. So we are following incremental, because if it was starting from zero, then we were following ZBB. But this is taking last year as the base and making additions and subtractions. So what is an advantage of the incremental budget? Yesterday also we saw it saves time, it's easy to prepare, it's quick to prepare and all of that. So an advantage of incremental budgeting is that it is quick and easy to prepare. The budgeting systems at CRC has remained unchanged for a long time. And we also saw a few disadvantages in incremental, so we can write it in disadvantages. And it is unlikely that managers will have experience in any other method of budget setting. So the problem here is that from the last 10 years they are doing only incremental. So it's unlikely that the managers also have experience of preparing some other budget, because what they're doing, they're straight away picking up the budget of the last year, making additions and subtractions and providing it this year. While CRC was growing steadily and relatively slow at approximately 1 new store every 2 years, because it did 18 stores in the last 10 years, that is 1.8, so approximately 2 stores in 18 years. It did 10 stores, so approximately 1 new store every 2 years. The use of incremental budgeting may have been appropriate. But as CRC is now entering new locations, such as it's planning to do out of town, right? Shopping centers and possibly food retailing. Incremental budgeting is unlikely to be appropriate. incremental budgets can also be flexed according to anticipated activity levels the manager of the central warehouse has done this rather simplistically. By increasing cost of running the warehouse to reflect the anticipated increase in volumes in 20x6. Okay, so these are the advantages of using the current budgeting system, which is their incremental budget. We are not directly writing advantages of using incremental budget because they have referred to as the current budgeting system. Now the next we have is disadvantages of current budgeting system. The use of incremental budgets can encourage what we saw yesterday. Every year increasing, then the cost becomes a lot because it's not reducing only. And some inappropriate cost of the previous year have to be carried forward this year. So this includes incorporating extra cost into the budgets to make it more achievable. Or spending up to the budgeted amount to ensure that a larger budget is set next year. This may be particularly so at CRC, as managers are appraised based on achieving their budget. Of the central warehouse appears to be building in slack by increasing the budget for heating and lighting and the general rate of inflation is 0. So why they're simply increasing? This will make it more likely that the manager will receive a positive appraisal next year, as it will be easier to achieve the budget. Incremental budgeting does not encourage CRC to look for new and innovative ways, because obviously it has your set mindset. As I told you, it doesn't help, it doesn't encourage you to think out of the box. New and innovative ways. Of doing things. The level of automation in the warehouse is lower than in competitors, and CRC appears to have just increased the budget for more staff to manually handle items in response to increased volumes. The introduction of RFID system, that is the radio frequency system, is an example of the use of technology to increase efficiency in the warehouse. Incremental budgeting is only appropriate where costs are already well controlled and operations are efficient. Where you have well controlled costs, so that even after adding it every year, it is still in control. Otherwise, poorly controlled cost and inefficiencies are just incorporated into the next period's budget. Staff resistance to the introduction of the RFID system difficulties in using it suggest that this might not be the case. Then activity based budgeting. Advantages. What are the advantages if the company switches to ABB, that is the activity based budgeting? The principle of ABB is that its activities such as goods inwards and goods outwards in the central warehouse which drive costs. By understanding what drives the cost, such as the number of receipts, from suppliers, and the number of dispatches to stores, IIC can take action to control the drivers of the costs and eliminate activities which are not value adding. APP is particularly useful where the overhead cost from a large part of total costs. ABP can help identify critical success factors, that is CSF, must do well such as being able to put items away in the warehouse quickly and accurately, and to retrieve them efficiently. This is more likely to be done right the whole activity. It is based on ABC budgeting, right? ABB is useful as CRC is changing the nature of its operations. It is undergoing rapid expansions by opening 4 new stores a year. This is also likely to be a change in the nature of its business. With the opening of its first out of town store and possible acquisition of a food retailing business, the incremental approach to budgeting may no longer be appropriate. Given the scale and nature of these changes, ABB may be more suitable as the business becomes more complex. And last, disadvantages of ABB, activity-based budgeting. What are the disadvantages of activity-based budgeting? One of the main disadvantages of ABB is the time and resources which are needed to implement it. For example, by identifying activities and their cost drivers, in the short term, overheads may not be controllable, which will reduce the benefits of implementing ABB. CRC has used all its financial resources to fund its expansion, as IT systems compared to its competitors, and it's clearly given, this line is clearly given in the question. It first of all has very outdated system as compared to its competitors. Its current systems are not enterprise resource planning system, that is enterprise resource planning system, ERPS. Unified databases or networked systems. Significant investment in CRC's IT systems will be needed. If you want to switch over to ABB, then obviously you have to update your technology. Systems will be needed to collect and process large volumes of data and cost drivers and activities which would be required to implement ABB. Excuse me. There may also be resistance to the change from staff, because obviously they are not going to accept change, because staff are like so used to working in the 10 years of the same system that the moment you would want to change the system, they will resist it, that no, what's the need, we're doing it currently and let's continue it. So that is going to be a resistance that a company can face from the staff. You may also require extensive training as they will be unfamiliar with the ABB approach. So hence you just don't have to give the advantages and disadvantages of both the systems and confuse the examiner. You have to give a conclusion. So what is the conclusion that you can draw from all the advantages and disadvantages of both the system that you gave? CRC should adopt ABB mainly as a response to the significant changes in the business and its increasing complexity. The out-of-town stores and the food retailing business will both be supplied from CRC's existing central warehouse. businesses may be different from the existing business. For example, out-of-town stores may require dispatches each containing a large number of items from the goods outward section. Food retailers may require smaller, more frequent dispatches to prevent spoilage. The current approach of incremental budgeting in central warehouse at least is unlikely to be appropriate. The benefits of implementing APB do, however, need to be compared to the financial cost and distribution of doing so. Okay, so this is the conclusion that you can draw. Now, before doing the B part of the question, we take a break of 5 minutes and then continue with the B part, which is you have to complete the analyst's work in Appendix 1 because it's incomplete. Okay? So we take a break of 5 minutes. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to complete the management's claims. To complete the analyst work. Analyst have left his work incomplete. If you see warehouse manager's salary, after that 75,000 of lease, and after that RFID, warehouse staff salary and heating and lighting is not distributed only in goods outward, good inward and others. But information is given about that, so we'll read that information once again so that we can solve it better. And we are going to solve it on Excel because this is a calculation. So let me just open Excel. Okay. So relevant information on cost in the central warehouse for the year ending 30th June 2026. The cost of warehouse manager's salary relates to all sections of the warehouse and cannot be apportioned directly to goods inward, good out. So warehousing manager's salary directly goes to others, which is already done here. Okay. And the cost of RFID system is invoiced by lease company. 60% is good inward and the remainder is good outward. So this is already done, so we don't have to do anything. What we have to do is RFID tagging, warehouse staff salary and heating and lighting. The RFID tagging is the wage cost for specially trained staff known as taggers. Their only job is to attach RFID tags to items when they are received before the items are put away in the warehouse. All the items received are RFID tagged and the cost of tagging are allocated entirely to the cost of goods inward. So directly to the cost of goods inward. Each tagger can attach 35,000 tags per month and is paid an annual actual salary of 24. The cost of each individual RFID tag is negligible. So directly it will go to inward. The next, warehouse staff wages. There were 12 full-time warehouse staff throughout the year to 30th June who were each paid a salary of $22,500. 2 more staff will be recruited at the beginning of the new budget year. 50% is in goods outward and 50% is in good inward. So the total warehouse staff salary may say, what is the warehouse staff salary? 22,500 is the warehouse staff salary. And what is the number of people working in the warehouse staff? So it is 12 full-time and 2 more staff, so 14. So 14 into 22,500 is the total salary, out of which 50% is inward and 50% is outward. So we're going to make a working note for that. And the last one is heating and lighting. So what is given about heating and lighting? The cost of heating and lighting relates to all scenarios of the warehouse and cannot be apportioned directly to goods inward or outward. The actual heating and lighting cost of the year, so they cannot be apportioned to inward and outward, and the actual heating and lighting cost for the year was 10,000 and the warehouse manager has proposed a budget of 10,500 for the coming year. The general cost of inflation is expected to be 0. And last point, the annual number of receipts of goods inwards is 9,000 containing a total of 12 lakh items. These are expected to occur evenly over the year. So use the spreadsheet. Yesterday I showed you we have 2 options. One is the spreadsheet option and one is the WordPad option. So use the spreadsheet option, but write the number correctly. This is a B part, okay, and the B part is what? Activity based budgeting for the central warehouse. For the year ended 30th June 20x6. Okay, so we make the table as is given in the question. This table: total good inward, good outward, others. we do total and these are all in dollars. Okay, and here the first one is warehouse manager's salary. Then we have second one is what? Lease of RFID. Third is RFID tagging. Then is what? RFID tagging. Then warehouse staff salary, heating and lighting. Heating and lighting. The totals are also copied down. 55, 75, and 55 is also allocated to others, and they said it cannot be allocated between good inward and good outward, so keep it as it is, because we have to just complete the statement, we don't have to change it. Similarly, the second one is also allocated between inward and outward, 45 and 30, and others is nil. Now RFID tagging. RFID tagging is how much? We have to calculate. So we'll name it working note 1. Let's name it working note 1. And working note 1 will be prepared here. Tagging. Okay, so what can be said about RFID tagging? The cost of RFID tagging is the wage cost for specifically trained staff known as taggers. Their only job is to attach RFID tags to items when they received before the items are put away in the warehouse. All the items received before the items are put in the warehouse, all the items received are RFID tagged, and cost of tagging are entirely allocated to the cost of goods inward. So each tagger can attach 35,000 and can be paid actual salary of 24. The cost of each RFID tag is negligible. What is the expected volume of items which is received? The total annual receipt is 12 lakh. Right? So per month कितना हुआ? 1 lakh. So expected volume of items received in a month is how much? Is equal to try. Sorry. Yeah. Right, so if you want to know the value of this, you look here, the formula will appear 12 lakh divided by 12. That is how you arrived at 1 lakh. Okay, then each member of the staff can tag 35,000 items PM, that is per month. So it is 100 expected volume divided by per member can attach 35 tags. So that will give you 2.86 staff. Say 3 approx. So annual wages cost is how much? 24 into 3. $24 into 3 because actual salary is 24 and you need 3 members to do the work. 24 into 3. So that will give you $72. And it is said that it will be allocated to goods inward entirely. So 72 and entirely to goods inward. Next is warehouse staff salary. What they've said about warehouse staff salary. There are 12 full-time and 2 more staff, and the salary that you're going to pay them is 22,500. So first let's calculate the salary. So this will be working note 2. So go here, working note 2, that is warehouse staff salary. Do the working notes there and there. You can do it below it also. You can do it below it also, will be better. So when it's done below it, it's easier to refer. So you can do below it also. Warehouse staff salary is how much? Is 14 into $22,500. That will give you how much? $3,15,000. And how to allocate it? 50% goods inward, 50% goods outward. So 3,15,000. Small calculations, you do it on Excel only. And heating and lighting. The cost of heating and lighting is 10,500, and warehouse manager has proposed 10,500, but the actual is 10,000. and cannot be apportioned between goods inward and goods outward. So where it will go to others. So heating and lighting, directly it's given in the question. It's 10,000 and cannot be distributed, so it will go in others. So therefore the total will be is equal to sum of right. Now I want the sum of this also, so what I'll do, I'll just drag. So I got the sum. I want the sum of this also, so what I'll do, I'll just drag. So I got the sums of everything. Yeah, so Excel calculation becomes easier. So after that I'll write annual number of receipts into goods inwards expected is how much? 9,000. So cost per receipt into goods inward is how much? Goods inward is this divided by 9,000. Is how much? 30.5. So if you want to know how 30.5 came, the examiner can click on that. The examiner gets a formula. Okay, is that clear? Now not just that, but you have to also comment on this. So comment part needs to be done in Word. So go here, type the B part and write comments on variance analysis. Okay, so you have to comment on that. The total expected cost for receipts into goods inward for July 20x5 was $19,825. That is, how did we arrive at it? $30.5 budgeted cost into 650 receipts. It's given in the question. The actual cost was 18,000, we just saw. Giving a favorable variance because cost is less, so it is benefit for us. If profit is less, it's not a benefit for it. So if profit is less, it's unfavorable, but since cost is less, it's a favorable variance of 19,825 minus 18,000. So how much? 1,825. It cannot be identified on the basis of the information available cos of $1,825 variance as the breakdown of the $18,000 actual cost would be required. 1 lakh items were processed. How did you get 1 lakh? Don't forget 12 lakh divided by 12 months. So per month 1 lakh. 1 lakh items were processed in July. 20x5, which is the same as budgeted amount. However, the number of receipts budgeted was 9,000 divided by 12 months, that is 750. Whereas the actual number of receipts was only 650. It's given in the question. So then equivalent to how much? $18,000 divided by 650. That will give you how much? $27.69 per receipt. This is a favorable variance. It's better for us. The difference between the two, 2.81 per receipt. It appears that the favorable variance may be due to the receipt of larger quantities of items from suppliers in each delivery. If some of the goods inverts, costs are variable, with the number of items, this would result in cost saving. This could be because of the reduction in the number of suppliers. With fewer suppliers individually supplying more items. So this is the B part, which is partly done on Word and partly on the spreadsheet. Anybody who wants to copy it down or write it down, please do. Till then I'll quickly check the comments. just quickly check the comments on our live. And this is the A part, which is advantages and disadvantages of both the systems. And these are the working notes. Now next we have is next question, which is question 3. Altair company. So this is appendix 1, and there are exhibits. So let's read the question 3. Exhibit 1. Let's read the requirement first. What you have to do? It is now 1 September 20x5. Respond to the board of Altair's request for work on the following areas: the effect of ethical issues on the manufacturing session, and how EMA will help Altair. Professional marks will be awarded, so 5 marks are professional. And this is your appendix, J-land and K-land. Altair is a large company. This is exhibit 1, company information. Altair is a large company listed on the J-land stock exchange. Its main objective is to maximize the long-term wealth of its shareholders. The largest shareholder is a pension fund which only invests in companies which behave ethically towards their stakeholders and the environment. All companies listed in J-land must produce an annual corporate sustainability report (CSR). Altair manufactures a diverse range of chemicals ranging from those for use in industrial process to household detergents and cleaning products. Altair is a well-known and trusted brand in J-land. Many of its household products command premium prices because they use ingredients and manufacturing process which cause less harm to the environment than those of competitors. Then exhibit 2 says K-land manufacturing plant. As a part of wider strategy, Altair plans to produce a new product, chemical K, which will require the building of a new manufacturing plant. The company has always manufactured in J-land, but in order to increase business performance, the board is considering whether to build a new plant overseas at the site identified at K-land. Due to high unemployment in K-land, labor costs are low there. Environmental regulations are also less strict than in J-land. K-land is a hot, dry climate where there is often insufficient water available to meet the needs of the population and their livestock. As Altair's largest shareholder, the pension fund, is aware that the company lacks experience in operating outside JLAN. Because of this, the shareholders concerned that the board may pay insufficient attention to the impact of ethical issues on both strategy formulation and business performance when taking the decision when to manufacture in KLand. The board has asked for your advice on ethical issues that may affect the decision to manufacture in KLand. Exhibit 3, Environmental Impact of Chemical K. The manufacture of chemical K would consume large volumes of water, then from a nearby river. To comply with limited environmental regulations in KLand, some of this water would be used to dilute a toxic waste product A, that is WPA, which arises from the manufacturing process. The diluted waste product A would then be discharged back into the nearby river. The discharge of waste product A into the river is not permitted in SGLT's home country or JLAN because there is some scientific evidence that contact with waste product A may cause serious long-term health problems to people, which may not become apparent for many years. Production of chemical K would cease after 10 years and the plant must be decommissioned. The site would remain contaminated with harmful chemicals for many years after decommissioning unless a separate cleaning operation is undertaken. Exhibit 4 says Environmental Management Accounting. It has been suggested that SGLT uses Environment Management Accounting (EMA) that we saw yesterday to improve business performance. EMA is the identification, collection and analysis information related to physical and financial impact on the organization's activities on the environment. The board wants your advice on how EMA will help SGLT in the following 4 areas: calculating cost, investment appraisal, setting performance measures and targets, and product pricing. In relation to investment appraisal, the board calculated that the net present value of the proposal to manufacture chemical K in KLand is $240 compared to $200 million if the manufacturing was done in JLand. It has since been identified that the cost of decommissioning the plant and cleaning the site were not included in these calculations. So the board has now begun the work of estimating the present value of the cost of decommissioning and cleaning the 2 possible sites. You have to respond to the board of SGLT's request for work on the following areas: the effect of ethical issues on the manufacturing decision and how EMA will help solve it. And the appendix 1 says this is the decommissioning of plant, cleaning the site in total, and etc. So we'll start the solution of this question tomorrow. Okay. So today we did 2 section B questions. If you guys have any doubt in the 2 section B questions that we did today, please reach out to me via the comments. Thank you so much for attending the lecture.